So the other day I was about to watch Lord of the Rings with my girlfriend, and but I had to go to the bathroom first. So I was like, okay, we gotta wait. And so I went to the bathroom and just the heaves. Are you familiar with the heaves?
Like, you were dry heaving?
No. Okay, so the heaves are when it feels like you have to shit, but all you do is like you pucker, and nothing ever shoots through the hole. So on that day, I learned a lesson, and the lesson is don't subsist only on cheese and beans, or cheesy beans.
Why is it that every time you tell me a story, there's a different hand motion I can't do anymore after the fact?
La 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 la. Here we go. It's the Bible reloaded, logic explosion, like Jesus and Moses, but it's Hugo and Jake. The Bible is jaded, and most of it taken, so get educated with Hugo and Jake. Pull up you and stop what you're doing. It's Bible reloaded time. They call it debated, the theist will hate it, like talking to taken, but it's Hugo and Jake. So on with the show then, it's not candy coated, it's the Bible reloaded with Hugo and Jake.
Hello everyone, I'm Hugo.
And I have the heaves.
And this is the Bible Reloaded. Look at this nice poster someone made for us.
It was a while ago. I knew who made it last year when we got it, and we talked about it. But if you made it, yeah, thanks.
Today we're going to continue our journey in Jeremiah. We're probably going to be, this will be our penultimate episode for Jeremiah. We're going to skip around and cover the important bits, and then next time we'll finish off with the other half of the rest of the important bits for the rest of the chapter, because it is a behemoth. For instance, we're only starting today in chapter 9. I believe it goes to 52. So,
but after that, we get into Lamentations, which will be one episode. We have Ezekiel, which would normally be several episodes, but we'll probably skip through that in a couple. And then we are into stuff like Daniel. We got Hosea.
Hosea.
Then
Hosea.
Joel, Amos, finally Jonah. We're probably going to skip several of those books almost entirely, but we'll give you the gist.
Yeah.
Because they're boring as fuck.
So, on our ever-increasingly desperate attempt to get to the New Testament, let's today begin in Jeremiah, chapter 9, verse 4. Beware of your friends. Do not trust anyone in your clan, for every one of them is a deceiver, and for every friend a slanderer. Friend deceives friend, and no one speaks the truth. They have taught their tongues to lie. They weary themselves with sinning. You live in the midst of a deception. In their deceit they refuse to acknowledge me, declares the Lord. So God outright saying, through Jeremiah, hey, don't trust your friends and family because they're secretly Baal worshippers behind your back. Like, it's sowing these seeds of, like, conspiratorial
Yeah, and if you don't
paranoia.
understand any of what he said, if maybe you're more urban or you're one of the young folk, them bitches be triflin'. Or if you're trapped in the 90s, and also urban in the 90s. I don't think I've heard that in my adult life. You never know. We got to make sure every possible... Okay. Just trying to cater to everyone in our audience. It's a broad spectrum we have.
I'm very dizzy now. After that, we're jumping to same chapter, verse 11. It says, I will make Jerusalem a heap of ruins, a haunt of jackals. The jackals there, again, this is a translation thing we've talked about many times before. Earlier translations says dragons. Den of dragons, not jackals.
Okay, so which one's right?
Probably jackals.
Probably jackals. Are we gonna stand here and rule out dragons though?
Okay, I won't rule out the possibility of
All
dragons.
Right. But like jackal-sized dragons.
Sure, compromise. That's how it works. Who is wise enough to understand this? Who has been instructed by the Lord and can explain it? Why has the land been ruined and laid waste like a desert that no one can cross?
Like a desert? It is a desert.
It is a desert.
It's just you're in a desert.
Well, all they know is a desert, so to them it's just the world, and the really deserty parts are the desert.
No. Well, that's so depressing.
That sounds way coarser. That's the desert, guys. Can we all agree?
To be fair, this isn't even one of the worst deserts in the world. The worst desert in the world is in eastern Africa. You know that? Not the Sahara or whatever. It's just like 120 degrees like all year.
A lot of the worst things in the world are in Africa, so that doesn't shock me.
That's
what?
Hey, tone it down.
I didn't say it at anything.
Tone it down, Pewdie.
The Lord said, "It is because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them. They have not obeyed me or followed my law. Instead, they have followed the stubbornness of their hearts. They have followed the Baals as their ancestors taught them. Therefore, this is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. See, I will make this people eat bitter food and drink poisoned water."
You're gonna make people drink poisoned water.
Yeah.
That's not a...
Not done yet. "I will scatter them among the nations that neither they nor their ancestors have known, and I will pursue them with the sword until I have made an end of them."
Okay, so you're gonna make them eat shitty food.
Yeah.
Drink poison water. For the record, there are only two options of beverage at this time. It's water and wine.
Yeah.
And they often dilute the wine with water. Then you're gonna force emigration. And then stab them.
It's thorough, I'll give you that. "Now you women hear the word of the Lord. Open your ears to the word of his mouth. Teach your daughters how to wail. Teach one another how to lament. Death has climbed in through our windows and has entered our fortresses. It has removed the children from the streets and the young men from the public squares. Dead bodies will lie like the dung in the open field."
Dead bodies are going to be as common as road turds.
"Like cut grain behind the reaper with no one to gather them." It's nice imagery.
That is... Of all the threats God has made, I think calling them, "You will literally be no different than a piece of shit on the road," that's the best one yet. That is the sick burn.
Okay. Chapter 10. Chapter 10 here at the beginning, we have something people bring up a lot around Christmas time, so we might as well address it. "Hear what the Lord says to you, people of Israel. This is what the Lord says. Do not learn the ways of the nations, or be terrified by signs in the heavens, for the nations are terrified by them. For the practices of the peoples are worthless. They cut trees out of the forest, and a craftsman shapes it with his chisel. They adorn it with silver and gold. They fasten it with hammers and nails, so it will not totter." This is often brought up around Christmas time by atheists. Be like, "God says Christmas trees aren't okay." And they're not talking about modern Christmas trees, but I get what you're saying. They're talking about...
They're definitely saying that Christians aren't responsible for Christmas trees.
Yes.
So, well, not Christians at the time, I guess it'd be Jews, but either way, kind of the point is, and I don't think you should say that God disallows it. I think you should, because it's not a thing. But I think bringing up the fact that it's not a Christian thing and it says so in the Bible is valid.
I think it's a stretch to say Christmas tree because it says a craftsman works
on
it.
I agree.
They're shaping an idol out of the wood of the tree and then covering it in some sort of gold.
I agree with that. But, he doesn't like it either way. It's basically like don't make a totem pole.
Yeah.
He hates Native Americans, which is why they were eradicated and given casinos.
Listen to this bit. "Like a scarecrow in a cucumber field."
What? Hold on. Scarecrow in a cucumber field. Can that be the name of the second Sex Abacus album?
Yes. Okay. "Like a scarecrow in a cucumber field, their idols cannot speak. They must be carried because they cannot walk. Do not fear them, they can do no harm, nor can they do any good." Jake, what does that sound like to you that he's saying, their idols are bullshit, they're not real, they're made of wood and stone and need to be carried around?
Sounds like he forgot he was in the Ark of the Covenant to me.
Yeah, sure does. Consistency, it's all I ask for. Then, chapter 11, the covenant is broken. It's literally God just saying, "You need to obey me. You're not obeying me. Fuck you." 12,
just like the last 400 pages.
Yeah, 12 is a lot of the same. And then 13, A linen belt. Let's read on, shall we?
I would love to read about a linen belt.
This is what the Lord said to me being Jeremiah. Go and buy a linen belt and put it around your waist, but do not let it touch the water. So I bought a belt, as the Lord directed, and put it around my waist.
Okay, before we even get into it, what possible reasons could he have for not letting it touch water?
Okay.
Before we read it.
I'm more interested in the conversation this guy must have had at the bazaar or whatever.
Can I get a linen belt?
Do you guys have belts? Oh yeah, we got a whole selection over here.
Has this touched water?
Has this touched water? Why do you need? What do you need it for? Oh, God told me to get a belt.
That is the dry one, though. A real dry one.
Real dry
the
one.
Driest. Also, at what point can it not have touched water? At any point in its life? Because the linen needed to be grown in a plant, probably cotton, or from, I guess I don't know what kind of linen, but I assume it's plant matter, and even so, if it's animal matter, definitely needed water at some point.
I think because he says, and put it around your waist, and do not let it touch water.
After the fact?
I think once it goes around his waist, it's not
That's
allowed.
it.
That's
no
the
more
rule.
water.
Yep.
Okay, so he can't, like, wash his hands and then adjust his belt. He's got to be very careful.
Yeah.
And, you gotta be real careful when you pee, but that should be fine because I don't wear undies anyway, so you just kind of lift up your tunic.
Anyway. Then the word of the Lord came to me a second time. Take the belt you bought and are wearing around your waist. Now go to Parath. It says Parath here. It also says it could be translated as Euphrates, though,
Which is a river.
Yeah. And hide it there in a crevice in the rocks. So I went and hid it at Parath, as the Lord told me.
Okay, this sounds like a convoluted quest of sorts.
It is. It's gonna be more trouble than it was worth. God could have just told him this. Many days later, the Lord said to me, go to Parath and get the belt I told you to hide there. So I went to Parath and dug up the belt and took it from the place where I had hidden it. But now it was ruined and completely useless.
Wait. Many days. Okay, so maybe it was like many days later.
Many days could mean like months.
Months and months. And it was totally ruined by being in the ground. It's not a very good belt. You should have bought a better belt.
Then the word of the Lord came to me. This is what the Lord says. In the same way I will ruin the pride of Judah and the great pride of Jerusalem. These wicked people who refuse to listen to my words, who follow the stubbornness of their hearts, and go after other gods to serve and worship them, will be like this belt. Completely useless. For a belt is bound around the waist, so I bound all the people of Israel and all the people of Judah to me.
Yeah, okay, so if I'm God in my infinite wisdom, if you still want to use a belt metaphor so you can say it binds people together, whatever, that's nice imagery. Jeremiah, go get a belt. Yes, God, I'll go get a belt. Goes to the bazaar, has a weird back and forth with the bazaar guy at the shop, gets the belt, puts it around his waist. Okay, now take it off. Now cut it. Now try to put it around your waist again. Can't do it. That's like me. You guys are cutting me out.
Yeah, God, shit.
I killed that shit. I'm better at belt metaphors than God.
You ready for another one? You ready for
a water skin reference?
Here we go.
Let's see if I can come up with a better one.
Say to them, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Every wineskin should be filled with wine. And if they say to you, don't we know that every wineskin should be filled with wine? Then tell them, this is what the Lord says. I'm going to fill with drunkenness all who live in this land, including the kings who sit on David's throne, the priests, the prophets, and all those living in Jerusalem. I will smash them one against another, parents and children alike, declares the Lord. I will allow no pity or mercy or compassion to keep me from destroying them.
Okay, this isn't a metaphor at all.
No, he just told them to fill wineskins, and I don't know why.
Hey, good wineskins. And they're like, yeah, we know. That's what you do with those.
And then he's like, I'm going to smash you against each other.
Right, and first of all, you're going to be super drunk, which sounds fine. Yep. Being super drunk without the work.
Yep.
I'm good with that for a day, I think. I don't know how long this is going to last, but I think a day of, like, God-given drunkenness sounds fun.
Sure.
But he's going to smash the adults and children together? That's like to make people jam? Or does he mean smash like Snooki meant smash? Because I hope he didn't. You think of Snooki? Do you guys remember Snooki?
No.
You guys think if Snooki read this, she'd think, why is God making the children and the men fuck?
Snooki can't read.
Snooki probably can't read.
Anyway.
Someone in our comments is going to be like, Snooki's a nice person, but they're going to use her real name because, fuck, does she even have a real name anymore?
Okay, chapter 14 is called Drought, Famine, Sword. I think that
Is
was...
this like Rochambeau?
Drought.
Famine, Sword.
It's pretty self-explanatory, that chapter. God just says, I'm going to bring a drought, a famine, and then people of the sword against you. I'm not going to read it. You get the gist. But, moving forward into chapter 15, starting in verse 5... Who will have pity on you, Jerusalem? Who will mourn for you? Who will stop to ask how you are?
Where are you going to get emotional support if not from me?
You have rejected me, declares the Lord. You keep on backsliding, so I will reach out and destroy you. I'm tired of holding back.
We've made the analogy plenty of times, but do you need us to make it again? I mean, don't leave me, Marge, or you're fucked. I'll kill you.
Yep. Chapter 16, Day of Disaster. Then the word of the Lord came to me. You must not marry and have sons or daughters in this place. Again, God is talking to Jeremiah directly. For this is what the Lord says about the sons and daughters born in this land, and about the women who are their mothers, and the men who are their fathers. They will die of deadly diseases. They will not be mourned or buried, but will be like dung lying on the ground. They will perish by the sword and famine, and their dead bodies will become food for the birds and the wild animals. So, Jeremiah, don't have kids because I'll murder them with everyone else. Don't know why. That's... God, don't have an abortion. God values every life. Does he, though? He doesn't. Next, chapter 18. Here we have another quest that could have been just told as a parable. At the potter's house. This is the word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Go down to the potter's house. Literally, he means a person who makes pots. Yeah. And there I will give you my message. So I went down to the potter's house and I saw him working at the wheel. Think the movie Ghost.
Yeah.
Ghost.
But less sexy.
Yeah. But the pot he was shaping from the clay was marred in his hands, so the potter formed it into another pot, shaping it as it seemed best to him. Then the word of the Lord came to me. He said, Can I not do with you, Israel, as this potter does? So if you didn't understand what just happened, the potter's trying to make a pot, something happens, the pot gets fucked up. It's the fault of the potter, so he's like, oh, okay, I'll make a different pot. That's what God is saying he is doing.
But he doesn't understand that the fault of the potter is the reason.
Right. So this
that's
the correct metaphor here would be a potter's working on...
And then someone goes, no!
No, not even that. No, because God's the potter. So he's working on a pot, and then he fucks it up, and then goes... and fucking destroys the clay and spends an entire book chastising it. Why couldn't you just do what I told you?
He throws the wheel out. And then Patrick Swayze's in the corner like, I just wanted to help.
And then it just takes the unwieldy clay and puts it in the kiln for eternity. Christianity.
Yeah. Christianity's like angry Patrick Swayze potting.
Yeah. Chapter 19. This is what the Lord says. Go and buy a clay jar from a potter. Take along some elders of the people and the priests and go out to the valley. I'm not gonna make you people sit through this whole story. This whole story is he buys a pot.
Yeah.
Invites a bunch of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And then's like, see this pot? This is your relationship with God, and like drops it and it smashes. And that's the whole story.
Is that a mic drop? Technically, is that the first record of a mic drop?
It's not a mic, but let's say
kind
yes.
of, yeah. It's pretty cool.
Chapter 20, Jeremiah and Pashhur. Pashhur was one of the people who was there witnessing this. When the priest Pashhur, son of Immer, of the official in charge of the temple of the Lord, heard Jeremiah prophesying these things, he had Jeremiah the prophet beaten and put in the stocks at the upper gate of Benjamin at the Lord's temple.
Nobody wastes pots on Pashhur's watch.
Nope. The next day, when Pashhur released him from the stocks, Jeremiah said to him, The Lord's name for you is not Pashhur, but terror on every side. For this is what the Lord says, I will make you a terror to yourself and to all of your friends. With your own eyes you will see them fall by the sword of their enemies. I will give all Judah into the hands of King of Babylon, who will carry them away to Babylon or put them to the sword. I will deliver all of the wealth of the city into the hands of their enemies, all of its products, all of its valuables, all of the treasures of the kings of Judah.
Yeah, we get it. Have you guys ever seen John Wick?
Yes.
Okay, so some gangsters come around and they kill John Wick's dog, and then John Wick kills everybody. It's a very good movie. John Wick Chapter 2 is almost on HBO now.
Oh, good.
But that's not the point. The point is God basically took the imprisonment, the brief one day, probably 12-hour imprisonment of Jeremiah as his John Wick moment, and decided to just kill the entire city and all of Pashhur's friends and family, and himself probably, because Jeremiah had an uncomfortable 12 hours.
Speaking of which, chapter 21, God rejects Zedediah's request. The word came to Jeremiah from the Lord when King Zedekiah sent to him Pashhur son of Malachijah, the priest of Zephaniah son of Messiah.
You guys will remember all that information, I'm sure.
It'll be on the test. They said, Inquire now of the Lord for us, because Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, is attacking us. Perhaps the Lord will perform wonders for us as in times past, so that he will withdraw from us. So the people are now coming to Jeremiah, saying, okay, you're a prophet, talk to God for us like in the past, he'll help defend us, right?
Like with the flame tornadoes, and with the, remember that one time, was it Abraham they held up and flopped around so that they could...
Oh, Abraham held his arms up,
Yeah.
and they were winning, and if it was down, they were losing, yeah. But Jeremiah answered them, Tell Zedekiah, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I am about to turn against you the weapons of war that are in your hands, which you are using to fight the king of Babylon and the Babylonians, who are outside the wall besieging you, and I will gather them inside the city. I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand and a mighty arm in furious anger and in great wrath.
So God is going to support the Babylonians.
Yes.
Actively. Do you think the Babylonians were like, well, this is weird?
Probably. You think it was like a team-up episode? God and the Babylonian god teamed up and they're like, hey!
And they high-fived?
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope so. Anyway, that's it. For this week, next week, or probably the week after when we get back to the Bible study, we'll finish up Jeremiah. So, we'll find out how they do after being fucking decimated by the Babylonians.
Probably bad. Probably not great.
Not great. So, you can always follow us on Twitter at Bible
You
Reloaded.
can follow Hugo at Hugo Reloaded. You can also subscribe to the channel and get more things all the time. New things are coming out soon. That's fun.
Yeah. If you want to support the show, you can always do so on Patreon. We do a once-a-month patron-only hangout, which will be this Saturday.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that and check your Patreon messages and whatnot
Indeedly do.
for a link. You can always subscribe over at Unpopular Culture, our movie, TV, game channel.
Got a lot of stuff coming out. We've done every major trailer. We recorded it yesterday. So we have the Star Wars trailer, the Stranger Things trailer, the Black Panther trailer, and also we tried some food from Australia that a buddy sent. So
Yep. And Quran Reloaded is back. So if you're into that,
yeah. Our studios are done. Our houses we're done moving, and everything's going full speed
yeah,
again.
we're gonna be making adjustments and we're gonna adding cameras like we mentioned before
There'll
too.
be
But
3 cameras set up.
But it'll be a process that will slowly happen over time. This will disappear and then extra cameras will appear. It's going to be a magical thing. So until next time, I'm Hugo.
I'm Jake. We're gonna get strippers.
Are you going to stand
What?
like behind us during the episodes?
No, like instead of cold opens or jokes, like we'll just cut that, and then strippers will, like, we're gonna basically get e-girls in between so that we can make the big bucks.
So
And then-
essentially the channel is done and we're just going to hire sexy women to come out and just kind of
Yeah, and they'll always almost take their clothes off, but never.
But
So that
never,
13-year-olds
yeah.
will steal their mom's credit cards and send us money. And then they'll probably do like live streams of Call of Duty or whatever those kids play now. And never fully take their clothes off again. Unless you subscribe to their Snapchat for some reason.
throw in a Spider-Man and an Elsa and I think it'll sell. All right, we're done here. It's just right here.